Hi, welcome to the garden today. Today is March 6th. It is hot and humid, winds blowing. We're fixing to get storms rolling in here probably sometime tomorrow, not tonight, but tomorrow night. And they're supposed to have more storms coming in later. Nothing showing to be less than 50 degrees as lows for the next 10 days. So we're planting corn, we're planting the beans. Still may hold out on the squash and I've got some squash growing inside, but the watermelons and other, I'm gonna wait probably till everything gets wet, then come back and do it. With the beans, got the Haas Green Blaze bush beans. And normally, and this is my setup, normally I'll put the beans in here, reach down there and grab them, set them this in my seeder. It's just a 1 1/4 inch PVC pipe. That way I don't have to bend over. I'm getting old, don't like bending over. I've already dug my furrow. I did put some water in the bottom of it. I don't know if that's needed. I do it just because I don't like putting seeds on dry ground. And how much I put in there, it was 3 buckets to get to the end of the row. So 6 gallons. Not a whole lot, but that way, if that little root comes down, it's going to hit the moisture. First off, it's going to have some moisture to take up. It's going to sprout the seeds, going to put that root down. We're probably getting rain anyway, but it doesn't take a whole lot. And I'm still going to dump these seeds out because it's going to be a pain. And when you see these beans, you're going to see that they're pink. What that means is they've been treated with a fungicide to keep them from rotting. That's the way they came. The fungicide is supposed to wear off way before you'd ever eat the beans. But anyway, and I will wash my hands when I'm through with all this. But the way I do this, you set it where you want it, you set it down, you let it drop, and you move over however far you want to plant the beans. I'm trying to plant them every about 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches. These beans are pretty fresh. They came from last year's crop, so they're only a year old. The bean seeds don't last a long time, but they will last a couple, 3 years. Not that many much problems. Every year it's going to drop a little bit on the germination. People ask how long do seeds last in germination. It really depends upon the seed and the conditions you keep them in. Onion seeds, I don't get any germination. I don't tote onion seeds over. I held one over 1 year and none of them came up. Zero germination out of about 100 seeds. And I've had tomato seeds the last 5 years and they did just fine. So the enemy of germination on any of your seeds is heat and moisture. So you hear stuff about, you know, there's some seeds that was in the Sahara Desert and on the pyramids, and they lasted a long time, but they had zero humidity, and that may be what, you know, why they done it. Really, the reason also has to do with the oil in the seeds. If you got a lot of oil, this oil goes rancid in or whatever, and they won't stay up very long. I'm going to end this here in just a minute. I'm assuming that's about 1 inch deep. I'm getting a little close. And got here some horse manure in there. Try to keep them as straight as you can. That's why I got the string there. And what I like about this method, they don't bounce all over the place. I am getting a pretty, you know, pretty good spacing on it. And I'm not having to bend over because, you know, it doesn't feel that bad the first 10 feet. And after that, it kind of goes downhill. Okay, we're going to stop right there just because I'm sure y'all get bored of watching me put seeds in the ground. And I did have one time somebody asked, well, how do you cover them up? Well, and I'm going to do something different. I am not advocating this. I'm not advising this. I'm just doing it. We've got a creature called a mole cricket. And that little devil will go right down the row and eat all your seeds. So, what I'm going to be doing, and I will not be doing this except for that freaking mole cricket. I know he's here. I've already seen him make some ruts. Yep. The one time I need a coin, I don't have one. So I'm going to pop this up. I took the lid off and I looked and said, hey, it don't have a deal on it, and put it back on. It's stuck there. So you don't want to get this stuff on your hand. This is stuff that's, everybody worries about, and I'll pick that up later. Everybody worries about Roundup and stuff like that. This stuff that'll kill you. It's an insecticide, just don't want to be breathing it in. And I'm just gonna spread just a little bit there, not much. I'm hoping that's gonna be enough that if he comes, and they crawl on the ground, if he comes down that row, that's gonna be enough to kill that little devil. And I kind of put them up with them for a couple of 3 years, no problem. But then last year they got so bad that they actually wiped out my corn crop. So, you know, that's just taking a bit too far. Again, I'm not advocating y'all do this. I don't know if it's gonna work. There is a bait you can get, but they don't have any locally anymore. Called them old cricket bait. It did work, but I don't have it here anymore. And then we're gonna take, to cover this stuff up, it's a regular old yard rake. You start coming up on that one, first one over, and you just go down it. And that's gonna throw enough dirt over top of it to cover those seeds up. Makes it real easy. Again, I'm not having to bend over. And you just run right down the middle of it. Well, we'll stop right there. So, now I will show you one reason I do my tomatoes early, okay? This here's a purple zebra. It was not growing as fast, so I left it inside. I planted it about, a couple of days ago. See how small it is compared to the other coyote over there? And it was struggling. Well, this in here. A lot bigger plants because I've got a big jump on it. This in here has already got some flower buds on it right there. So way ahead of this one here. I did have to cover them. Had some good family time doing that. But we got them all covered. I did have, I know I showed one or a couple of them that had some damage on them. Can't find it now, which is a good thing. I think it was these. Okay, these two down here. They're kind of growing out of it. Something kind of nipped it off or did something. They're kind of looking okay. Don't seem to be getting worse. But that, I did have a subscriber ask, or a viewer ask, why I don't tend not to plant them side by side. If I'd have had two of the same varieties, I might have thought, well, that variety had a problem. These are two different varieties. They're same, still both potato leaf, but it's two different varieties and they both had a problem, so I know it's not the variety that does it. That's also a reason I like to plant two of each variety. So again, if you just plant one and that one plant doesn't do well, you may think, well, that variety doesn't work well for me. If you got two of them, you're like, well, one worked well, one didn't, so that one that didn't work well is just an outlier. Might be bad soil, could be a bad seed, especially with your open pollinated. You can get, genetics aren't, on an open pollinated, genetics aren't fixed necessarily over time. They can kind of change a little bit. So you can get some introduction of pollen that you didn't really expect. Now, normally your tomatoes are self-pollinating. They are kind of wind pollinated to a point. If you take a tomato bush and bump it just a little bit, it's going to pollinate itself. So I know in some people, if you got them growing in a hoop house or something, if you go around and shake the plant once a day, that's enough to get them, for them to pollinate that fruit. It does not hurt to pollinate fruit of different, pollinate the fruit of different tomatoes, because unless you're trying to save the seed. And if you try to save the seed, you just don't know what you're going to get. Again, then you got a hybrid, you don't know what's going to come out, if you're going to get, what type of tomato. And so if you're doing open pollinated ones and you want to keep the seeds, you do want to try to isolate somewhere if you can, or at least get the very early fruit so you don't have as many bees and stuff flying around, so you get a less chance of that happening. But anyway, okay, I got one over there. Now we're going to go over here to the corn. And one thing I want to bring out when I start plowing this up, we do have a little bit of Bermuda grass in here. And that's that stuff here, the scourge of southern gardeners, but it makes a good lawn grass. I did kind of, run the hoe down it, but if you see here, if you bury this thing, if this thing would have gotten broken off and tilling, it had 2 plants. So see this thing here, put out a new sprig. And when you pull it up, try to pull up the whole thing if you can. Because if it breaks off, like this is probably going to break off. See what breaks off like that? Well, I still got a plant down there. It's going to come back. But, it does set it back a little bit. But, if you can get it up, it's the best way to pull out the whole plant. Because when it breaks off like that, and when I was working for the government, if we went out, because they do sprig some Bermuda grass, if you could step from one plant to the next one, we consider that a full stand whenever we sprig in the first year. So that's how fast it grows. If I was to leave this stuff along right here, I'd have a patch of Bermuda grass right here, solid patch. So just keep after it. You can run a little wheel hoe up underneath it and you'll pull up the sprigs and pull the sprigs out, throw them over the fence. Now this is the corn I'm going to be planting. It's called Homestead Hero. And I was going to dump it into here, but I got those beans in there. And this is the seeds that came with it. These are the seeds that I grew last year in the swim pool method, in the grow bags. So I'm just going to set this in here. It won't be that hard to reach in there and grab these. This is how they look. Now, as opposed to the tomato plants, you don't want these to cross-pollinate, because when you cross-pollinate, it affects the seeds. In tomatoes, we don't care. We eat the seeds. The seed's not what's in the flavoring. But guess what? Corn, that's what we're eating, is the seed. So this seed, if this cross-pollinates with something else, that seed itself will be different. So that's why I'm going to plant halfway down it, a little bit more than halfway. And then I'm going to plant another variety about 3 weeks later, hoping that they will not cross-pollinate because of time. Hopefully this already have all of its tassels, have shed all of its pollen by the time the other one comes in. You do have to worry about, if you do it too early, if you get a cold snap and sets this corn back and you plant the other corn, the other corn could catch up with it and they pollinate at the same time. And if you're growing flower corn like this, it's not as bad a problem if they cross-pollinate. It's when you try to grow sweet corn and something else, like popcorn or the flower corn like I'm growing, the dent corns, it messes up the sweet corn bad. And they will cross-pollinate. I've had some that, I planted before, and you'd have, it'd be like a bloody butcher, which is red corn, and you'd have white kernels in it. Well, it got cross-pollinated with something. But anyway, let's plant these seeds out. And these seeds are going to go a little bit further apart, about 6 inches. And never planted this one before. This is supposed to be one that's we're trying to make it where it's low input, where just about anybody can grow the corn. It's supposed to do good in cold weather, which I don't have, but and it's not a real tall corn. It grows 4 to 6 feet tall, so mine will probably be 6 foot tall, hopefully. You don't want to over fertilize these, though it does still require fertilization. They like a lot of nitrogen. They also like phosphorus, but most soils have enough phosphorus in it. And I do need to get a soils test. But last time I took a soils test, it showed I had plenty of phosphorus. That's why I don't like bending over. I just don't like bending over anymore once you get to a certain age. And I'll do the same thing. I'm going to put a light dusting of the 7 dust, which is not carbonell like it used to be, which I wish it was, because I know it. All 7 is now, if you don't know. Used to, when you bought 7 dust, it's a certain type of chemical. I think it's carbonell is the name of it, begins with C. And that's what it was. Well, now you can be carbonell, or it could be this other insecticide. Or 7 could also be, I think they had some that had some type of fertilizer in it or something. So it's just a brand name. I hate it when they do that. You know, Monsanto, Roundup's done the same thing. Used to, when it was Roundup, you knew it was glyphosate and that was it. Now, it may be glyphosate and another chemical, or it may be fertilizer. Well, I think I don't know if they're doing fertilizer, but they do have one of them. It's just it's vinegar. It's an organic chemical. Still the Roundup name, but you know, for whatever reason, they decide to plant some different or use some different stuff. Like I say, I wish they'd just do the one name that's already got used to. Like I say, I stopped it about right here, and I'm going to do the rest of these. I'm not going to bore y'all with that other. You can look out there at the horse eat, and you see all those white blooms. Those are dewberries or blackberry vines putting on the fruit. We will not see any of those because those chickens will get them about a day before they're ready to harvest. The chickens don't come into here. I do have some thornish varieties that we pick, but around here we do have a lot of the dewberries, blackberries. I do try to keep them mowed down. They're a pest for us. But if you see some wild dewberries or blackberries, and most here we call them dewberries because if they chill along the ground, we call them dewberries. If they grow up right, we call them blackberries. I know that's not completely correct, but that's just a rule of thumb. I know a blackberry can also trail too, but that's just the way, you know, the common folk talk about. If it's dewberry, if it's growing along the ground, if it grows straight up, it's called blackberry. Anyway, that's what I'm talking about today. I'm trying to get all this in before the rain. Like I said, I think the rain's going to hold off to tomorrow anyway, but see y'all next time. Happy gardening.